basically, I wanted to start with this, just all of us going through an extent talking about how we got started with Resident Evil and, how long we've each been playing. So how about Mike starts, just to get this ball rolling.
Okay, well, I've been playing this game the whole game franchise for about 10 years. First started with my sister Megan. She'd been playing the original game on PlayStation here in the house, actually in the room I'm in now. And I was just watching the video, and it looked really interesting and weird and cool and whatnot. And I wanted to play, but at first you're just like, no, you can't play. You're 10. This is a pretty violent video game, and it could scar you. But also, to be fair, not too long ago, I was watching the first episode of South Park, and there's a lot of cursing and a lot of weird stuff in that. And, well, when she left for school and I was home, and she had the game there, and I just popped it in and started playing, and you could say I never stopped playing.
Okay, for me, I don't have a very specific memory of how I got started, but I know I have a strong feeling that Resident Evil 2 is what started me, because I used to always remember my brothers playing it, and they couldn't do anything with it. They get stuck down in the sewers. They couldn't get farther than that. And then maybe a few years later, when I actually started to really get into it, I always used to make fun of them for the fact that I breezed right through it, and they got stuck on the sewers. And yeah, now Resident Evil 2 is probably one of my favorites, maybe because it's what started it for me. It's also one of the easiest ones for me now, because I probably played it the most. What about you, Karen?
Well, I think my case is different, because I got involved with Resident Evil on 2002 when I saw the first installment of Resident Evil film series. I liked the movie a lot, but when I saw the second one, I just fell in love with the series, and I became a fan. And well, then I began to deepen in the universe of Resident Evil. I investigated and discovered the games and the novels, and I think now I'm more a fan of Capcom's series than Paul's movies.
Oh, cool. So you started with the movies. They're what brought you in.
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Kayla?
Well, I'm the Resident Evil veteran of this group. I've been playing since 97. And when the first game came out, got it on PlayStation, and we actually got all of the 4 first games, like 2 part 1, 2 part 2, etc. like that. And then the first movie came out, and I just kept getting the games and watching all the movies. I've never missed a release date except for a couple of games in between for consoles, because I'm not a console gamer, but I followed the main story all the way up to 5 now, and Revelation's coming up.
Yes. Revelations is also something else I wanted to talk about. I think we might have talked about it a little bit before, with our very first one before Mike stepped in. And Revelations is something that's kind of exciting me, because it is going back to the old survival horror as opposed to 5's a little more action, and I prefer the old survival horror. But Revelations also, some of the new trailers, they're a little bit, I don't know, they're worrying me a bit. Something about it. I don't like how Jill's looking, I don't like how she's sounding in the new trailers. I hope it comes out and it's awesome, but right now I'm a little worried. What are your feelings on Revelation?
I'm kind of excited to see it. I mean, I'm a little concerned with Jill, but then again, it's like, it could just be an early version. They may still work it, may change it later. You have to know until it actually comes out before.
Yeah. But as we know, Resident Evil, almost all of the games, have had you know, there's 1.5. You guys probably have seen stuff on Resident Evil 1.5. Yes, no?
What is that, like the director's cut version? Because if so, I don't think I have seen that one.
Well, no, there's, Resident Evil 1.5 was the very first version of Resident Evil 2 before it became what it is now. And it's very, very different. Claire's not in it at all. It's a much different story, and I've noticed that pretty much all of the games have had like a pre-release version. I've seen like stuff on Resident Evil 4, early videos for that. And a lot of that stuff looks pretty interesting. Sometimes I look at the old, like, what the game was going to be. And it's a little disappointing. If you guys would ever just look up Resident Evil 1.5, it looks pretty interesting, although the voice acting is still as cheesy and hilarious as it is in the very first Resident Evil. But that's one of the reasons why I love that first game. Barry is terrific comic relief, and I hope that Retribution, the 5th movie, makes Barry comic relief, because that's part of his character. That's what he's good at.
Yeah.
Barry's vocabulary doesn't go very far, though.
Yeah.
What is this? But speaking of Revelations, I just played the demo, like just before we started, so I could have a look. It's it continues on storyline from 5.
Yeah.
So it's got new monsters coming in. You wanted to talk about monsters?
Yeah.
And they're very annoying.
What are they exactly? How are they?
Sort of like Tyrant, with the big claws on one hand, and they get hold of you. You can't do anything at first. So it's introducing first person and over the shoulder at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you go into like shoot mode, you actually just got a gun.
It's kind of similar to Resident Evil Dead Aim, and that's only on a PS2, so Kaylee, you probably haven't played that.
Not that I remember. Yeah, no.
It is a similar.
I know all the games as over the shoulder mostly. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of creatures, I wanted to talk about creatures because tomorrow is Halloween, and like, what do you guys think are like the scariest and most badass creatures in the whole series?
I think one of the most eye-popping ones was, and this is going with you with Resident Evil 2, is the Licker, because I think it's one of the first creatures I saw that kind of unnerved me a little bit, because it could like crawl on the walls, and those big claws, and that tongue, it had a really creepy and cool look to it. And that's one of the first ones that really got me. It's definitely in the top 5 of my favorite monsters of the whole series.
Very much so. I would agree with you on the Licker. One of the ones that I have a love-hate relationship with the Hunters. I think they're awesome, but they're probably the creatures in the series that piss me off the most, because there's sometimes when they'll just slice your head clean off, which is always a pain in the ass. And they also, I love to comment on in every Resident Evil game I play just how damn ugly those things are. They're probably the ugliest creature in the series. Not that any of the creatures are, attractive, but especially the creatures I've seen in the Revelations trailers. Back to those. Those things are very sort of. They're very ugly, and that's one of the things I'm a little worried about, is that I've pretty much only seen them in the trailers. There was zombies here and there, but it's pretty much just them. But I will say that they already have a bonus from me, because they kill Rachel in one of the trailers, and she has to be probably even though we haven't actually played with as her or seen anything beyond that trailer, but she is very, very obnoxious. More than Ashley, more than Steve. Very much so. Darren, what do you think are like the scariest creatures to you?
Well, for me, the scariest creature would be Lisa from Remake.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she scared me a lot.
Yes, I also... I love the remake. The remake is probably my favorite game, but she is very annoying. Just cinder blocks on her hands. I think she's supposed to have, like, some type of the Nemesis virus in her, which makes sense if you you take a look at her and how she plays and everything like that. And I've also, just to switch gears here, for the Retribution, the 5th movie, we've gotten some stuff on that, and have you guys been keeping up on that?
Yeah, I've been keeping up as much as I can with, what Mila Jovovich says on Twitter and other cast members.
Mm-hmm. I've seen stuff like, I've seen Leon, how he looks, and the images that were released not that long ago with Barry, and I think he looks really cool. But what do you guys, are you excited for that movie, or?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited because I haven't really seen a Resident Evil movie that I absolutely hated or was disappointed by. I mean, they definitely delivered what they say they want to, which is, a movie version of the game with monsters and action and whatnot. And also, since, once again, Paul's directing, and he hasn't really made any movies that I can say I hated. I mean, I've enjoyed him a lot. And, he did spearhead the whole film series, so it's good to see when the creator takes hold again.